Okay, I'm so glad that I got to have Annie on the show. I feel like I was able to ask some questions that sometimes I feel stupid for asking, like things that I should probably know about finances, bookkeeping, taxes. And in a world where those things feel kind of boring, she made me feel so comfortable. Annie Hillman is the founder of 1428 Financial, and we talked all things business finance. I promise you it's not boring, you're gonna love it. She's also such a cutie pie. Enjoy the show. Annie, all the way from Texas, joining the Chit Chat. I am so excited to talk to you because your niche is something that I actually run from in the other direction. So I know that this is your magic, this is your juice. You're going to give us all the good things. And I can't wait to learn about how this became your passion. So without further ado, tell us who you are, tell us what you do, and everything we need to know.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. So I'm Annie Hillman, owner and founder of 1428 Financial. What you just said, I hear a lot. You're not alone. And it's kind of funny. I never really planned on going into accounting. I just kind of felt like my journey just kept coming back to it. I originally started college. I wanted to be a math teacher, and thank God I didn't do that. Because I love math and everything, but I'm really glad that I don't have to hang out with teenagers all day long. But I started doing accounting just as a temporary job as I was finishing up my college degree. And I was like, I love this. I just really fell in love with it. And my first job after that was I was doing winery accounting, which was a really, really fun job. I loved it and really unique industry to work in. But I had no freedom and no flexibility. And I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs can relate to like that being why we started what we are doing now. And so I had a friend of my husband's approach me and just asked if I would do his bookkeeping on the side. And I was like, yeah, I can make some extra cash. This sounds great. And so I did, and I was like, okay, this is actually really awesome. And I started looking for more and more clients and quit my job 6 months later to go full time in my business. And that was 5 years ago now. And so since then, just been we do bookkeeping and CFO services for online service providers, and I love it. It's the best decision I ever made.
Dang, dude, that's crazy. First of all, congratulations. I know
Thank
that's
you.
no easy feat. Like you really put yourself out there and I have mad respect for that. I'm curious from a person who is so funny story. I was actually I went to school for pre-med and then I became
Oh
a
my gosh.
science teacher.
Oh my gosh.
So I understand the fear of not the fear, but not the strong desire to be a teacher. What's crazy is the kids when I was a teacher they were my favorite part, but it was
Mm-hmm.
the money and everything that I was like, this doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. And you got to put yourself first. So all of that to say, I am science brained, but when it does come to finances and bookkeeping and all that stuff, when you say, I'm watching your face and I know that this is very true for you, but you're literally lighting up. You're like, I love it. What do you love about it?
It's funny. I do love the numbers part of it, but for me, the bookkeeping is organization. It's like, tracking where things go, and I love organizing things. So that's a big piece of it, but it's looking into the future. If we think about bookkeeping is looking at the past, but the CFO, the forecasting is looking into the future and helping people plan. I also think one of the biggest pieces of it for me is just like I hear so often, like you said, I don't want to look at my finances. I run from it. I hate it. And I love the transformation that comes from starting with a client who's there and then 6 months, a year down the road, talking to them, asking them the same questions. And they're like, this isn't actually so bad. Or I love looking at my numbers, or I can see the use and the helpfulness in this. That's probably my favorite thing about what I do. Obviously, I love the bookkeeping. I wouldn't still be here if I didn't like it. But really, it's just getting to help business owners and entrepreneurs really understand why finances are so important and remove the fear from it and understand that it doesn't have to be scary. Yes, I think as a society, like money and there's weird vibes around it, for sure, both personal and business. And I think getting to work with people one on one and just help them figure out that that doesn't actually have to be that way, like that's what lights me up.
Yeah, I love that. It's like we have these fitness trainers, we have therapists, we have doctors, like we have all of these things to take care of our relationship with pieces of our life that are so important, but to miss out on the relationship or like the trainer, if you will, from
Mm-hmm.
a financial coach, I think is a huge miss. Um, one question that I have for you is before I go into the next question, who is your ideal client? Like who are you typically finding yourself working with?
Yeah, we work with a lot of online service providers, different industries. I have a team of 3 bookkeepers, so we kind of play to everybody's strengths. So whoever, likes the marketing industry, they get that. So we have marketing clients. We have a couple of clients that are in like social media management. We
Mm,
have a little bit of everything. We have some branded web designers. What else? A couple of photographers. Really like that kind of space is where we live.
okay, so with that, if we're talking about like people who are, they have their business, but they're growing their brand on social media, like they're trying to be seen, they're trying to get more people, they're doing everything online, like they have a website. When they come to you, what is the most common problem that you are like, yikes, like you go to your friend, your business bestie and you're like, dude, these women or these men, like whoever you're working with, like this is a problem. Like what is that thing that you would say?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I don't. There's nothing. There's. We have seen a lot.
I'm sure.
Our team has seen a lot, and so I think there's not a lot. I mean, maybe some red flags is like not filing your taxes for a couple of years. I had that someone come to me with that problem recently. But honestly, I would say it's just there's not a lot we can't help with. And I don't like to put like labels on it because I feel like that kind of perpetuates like the shame and the fear that comes around it. I just want to be my business and our team to be a welcoming, safe space for people when it comes to finances. So yeah, there are definitely things that we see that are wild and we walk through about anonymously obviously.
Yeah.
But I just it's for us it's a challenge and I like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. When you are speaking to someone, like if someone slides in your DMs and they're like, I have a business, I'm pretty successful, I make 6 figures a year, I do not have a CPA, I do not have an accountant, I don't have a bookkeeper, but I'm not sure that I really need one. So at that point, how would you pitch or like sell the idea of your services? Like why do I need that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of pieces to it. The biggest one for me is you could continue doing your own bookkeeping, and I would hope that this person is actually doing it and not just ignoring it. Um, and that would be fine if you're a unicorn and you're a creative but you love doing your bookkeeping, then hey, that's totally fine. You do you. But is that the best use of your time? If you're spending 5 hours a month and you're like not really even sure that you're doing the bookkeeping correct, where could you be spending that 5 hours of your time instead and hire someone out to do the bookkeeping for you? That's the biggest thing. It's yes, we give you compliance. We give you the peace of mind that your books are good, that you have knowledge, or excuse me, that you have useful data to use within your business, but we're also giving you time. And maybe that time, I work with a lot of moms, maybe that time is spent at the park with your kids, or maybe it's spent in your business selling and you can make back, even more revenue. So that's the biggest piece for me, I think, is just giving people back their time and the peace of mind that their books are getting done correctly.
I love that. Let's take a step back because I can already hear the people listening to this. Like, I'm sure a lot of people already know this, but I feel like the other half are like, okay, cool, but like, what is bookkeeping? Like, what is that?
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I think there's some misconceptions around it. We can go into like bookkeeping versus accounting, but bookkeeping at its core is taking all of the money that comes in and out of your business and organizing it into different revenue streams so you can see how your different revenue streams are performing, and organizing all of your expenses so you know exactly where all of your money is going. That's bookkeeping to a core. A lot of people, I think, when they think of bookkeeping, they actually think of accountants. And so accountants are like who do your taxes at the end of the year. So ideally, an ideal financial team for your business is bookkeeper and accountant. These can be in the same business. I don't recommend it being the same person just because you want multiple sets of eyes on your finances. But yeah, having both of these people to help you within your business is really helpful. A bookkeeper is going to help you on the month to month basis. They're going to give you the useful data that you can use to make decisions within your business. And then a tax preparer is going to be more of the annual stuff, the overarching, the high level stuff. Obviously getting the tax filing, but if you work with a tax strategist, planning and making sure you're getting the most out of your taxes, you're not overpaying with taxes, all of those
Mm.
things.
So good. When you are coaching someone on the bookkeeping, are you you're the bookkeeper side of it, or are you the
Mhm.
okay, so when you're coaching someone on the bookkeeping side of it and you're working with these CEOs of their own online service business, whatever, um when they have the question of like, okay, how do I separate? Like, I obviously have a business card, I have like a business bank account, but how do I separate in terms of bookkeeping the personal side of things and the business side of things, or is it all in one?
Yeah, no, you want to keep things separate as much as possible. If you have a business card, all of your business transactions goes through that. It goes through your business account, and all of your personal transactions, keep them in your personal account. Mistakes happens every once in a while. You're at Target, you need to buy office supplies, and you forgot your business card. That's totally fine, but try not to make a habit of it. But just making sure those are separate, and that's not just for ease of tracking things, so that you make sure you're not overpaying and underpaying in taxes. It's also a compliance thing with the IRS. If you operate you as a person and you as a business, keeping the door closed between those is really, really important, because God forbid you ever get audited. You want to make sure they only audit one or the other. Whereas if the door is open, they could go to both.
Yeah, that's a really good call out. That's really good. In terms of like, I know that you said you're not the accountant taxing side of things, but in terms of like the taxes, I'm sure you're very educated there as well. What are some things that you see people like business owners in this industry not writing off on taxes that they should be?
Yeah. A big one is home office. Most of us have an office in our house. If you do, you can write off a percentage of all of your home expenses, and that's a tax write-off. That's a big one that we see miss. Another one is mileage. Say you're driving to a networking event, or you're driving even to like Target to buy office supplies. Tracking those miles, that's really important to do that, because that adds up quickly. I just did mine for the first quarter, and I think it was like $300. So
Wow.
that's not nothing.
Yeah.
So those two are really big ones. Other ones I think are just, there's the fun ones, right? Like I think like expenses for like branding shoots. Obviously talk to your CPA about your specific situation, but things like renting clothes for a branding shoot, that if you really have to document things well. But things like that are like I said, the fun types of things. Making sure you're always writing off your business meals if you're meeting up with a client or a vendor or something like that. Like write off that business meal, things like that. But I would say the home office deduction is probably the one we see most often miss.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So outside of your business, like tell us about you. What's your life like?
Yeah, I love that. I have a daughter who's 3, so she keeps me pretty darn busy. We live on a couple acres. My husband is a farmer, so there's always something to do outside. We currently have a donkey, a horse, a cow, a couple chickens, a goat in our pasture. So that keeps us pretty busy. Just hanging with the animals. But outside of that, I love working out. I love going for walks. I love spending time in nature as much as we can. We're getting into the hot season in Texas, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit harder to do that. But spending time by the pool during when it's really really warm here. Yeah, that's kind of it. I like to say that I'm kind of a grandma at heart. I
I feel
I'm
that.
usually in bed by 9 p.m. with a cup of chamomile tea and a book.
Aw.
But those are kind of we do love to travel as well, but that happens a little less frequently now that we have a toddler.
Yeah, I love that so much. I always say like I have like three different personalities. I have like one part of me that is a city girl, like one part of me that is a gardener, and like the other part of me that's like a cowgirl. And
I love
um
that.
yeah, I'm like when I hear you that you are like living on a farm and like you have all this
Yeah,
land, I'm like I crave like part of me craves that. I don't
yeah.
know if it's like past lives, like I maybe lived somewhere where I had all this space or something, but do you have a garden?
Yeah, we do. And I'm really lucky in that I love that kind of stuff. I'm not great at gardening. So my husband, being the farmer, is the one who tends to it, and I just get to enjoy the vegetables
Yeah.
and everything that comes out of it, which is really nice. We have a good balance because I'm like you. I feel like I have those three personalities as well. Um, but having him to kind of actually do the
Yeah.
work
Yeah,
makes it a whole lot easier
for
to
sure.
get to enjoy it because
Yeah.
I unfortunately would kill most plants if left to
I
myself.
know. I know. I don't know. There's something to it. But are you in your home office right now? Do you have a like
Yes.
do you okay. What is your husband being a farmer is interesting to me because being a farmer is no joke. Like I have known people who own farms and it's like
Hmm.
that is the craziest labor that I've
Hmm.
ever seen. So I do think it's like a different mentality of being that sort of person versus doing work that we do. What does he think about, like, take us back to when you made the transition, actually, when you
Yeah.
were like, I'm going to leave my full time job. I'm going to work out of an office in my home. I'm going to do this thing online
Hmm.
where I'm helping business owners. Like, what was he like during that time?
Honestly, I always say that I couldn't have done it without him. At the time, it was a huge leap for us to leave a decent salary that I had and to try, try it on my own. And I luckily had the support of him. And so that was really, I'm really, really eternally grateful for that. Just because he carried us through for the first couple of months. And I think it goes back to having like being on the same page with your partner, having the same life goals, having the same things that you want out of life because we knew that I wasn't going to stay in that job forever. We knew that we wanted to have kids. We knew that we wanted more flexibility when we did have children to be with them to like we now have a tradition in our family. It's like Friday coffee dates. The three of us go to coffee on Fridays, and that's a non-negotiable. That time is blocked off on both of our calendars. And I couldn't have done that at my old job. There's no way. So really, just being be having both of us on the same page was really really important. And the cool thing is, my husband actually he went out on his own and started his own business 2 years ago now. And it was really cool that he supported me when I started my business, and then the tables kind of turned, and I was able to carry our family through that time when he was starting his business. That was really really cool to me to be able to do that, and it is kind of interesting for him because he is a farmer. He doesn't, he's not a business like he wasn't in that world. Whereas I've been in this world for so long, it's really cool to have been able to like coach him through it and it's been a really fun, hard but fun season
Yeah,
for our family.
that's so cool. Is he still doing the business?
Yeah, yeah, he's doing consulting for ag, and it's really taken off, which has been really awesome.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love him for that. That's so
yeah,
cool.
it's cool.
That's awesome. So I want to ask this question, but I'm not going to ask it in the typical way because I feel like that's boring. So if I were to ask what I normally would ask is what in a world where there are so many of you, not you as a person, but so many financial companies, so many accountants, so many bookkeepers, the standard way of me asking this would be what separates you, what makes you different. But I actually want to hear when you are thinking, when you're witnessing your competition or you're seeing them do it a certain way, when you look at them, what do you think to yourself like, oh man, like I do that so different and that's what makes me magical? Like what are those things?
I love this question so much. I think the thing with anything, but really with finances, this is especially as important, is you have to find the person that clicks with you and your personality. This is why, discovery calls are non-negotiable for me because I want to get on a call and I want to make sure you're comfortable with me. Finances are such an intimate thing that we need to make sure we click, we communicate well together. Because I'll tell you, in the past, when I first started my business, and I was like, I'll take anyone.
Yeah.
Uh, I ended up taking on people when even though the red flags in my head were going off, and I knew it was a bad decision, and it didn't end well. Not like in a negative way. It was just like, okay, like we don't jive. Like let's part ways amicably. So this is an interesting question too because I feel like I have so many friends who do what I do, and I think it's really cool in that like the online space and online bookkeepers and stuff. Like I really feel like there's a sense of there's really is a sense of community over competition, where it's not, this person this versus this person. And I feel like at least the people that I know, we've really cultivated that really well. But I think the thing with what we do really, really well, is because I have that background in education. I think that that really plays to my strengths, because
Amen.
because I mean, like it you know how to teach people, and anybody can know, any CPA out there, like even the best CPAs who are on it, they know what they're doing, they know the tax law like the back of their hand. That's great, but if you can't communicate it effectively and with empathy, because that's needed in a lot of situations, and when you can't, when you can't speak to your clients in a way that they can understand, that what's it all worth, right? Because again, like you could go to a CPA. I've heard time and time again, my CPA is fine, but they talk to me like I'm an idiot, or they don't explain things in a way that I understand. I don't know what they're talking about. And I think that our strength at 1428 and my team as well is that we communicate with empathy, we communicate well with our clients, and we communicate so that they understand. And if they don't understand on the first time, we've cultivated an environment where they feel comfortable asking questions. And
Yeah.
that's really important to me. It's funny. I do the same thing with my daughter that I do with my clients. I want you to ask questions. I want you to question me. I want you to, call me out, in a sense of like, if I'm not explaining something well, like I want you to understand we're here so you can understand. We're not just here to check a box so that your bookkeeping is done.
All right. Amen to that. That is definitely what sets you apart. I will say from personal experience, like I've legit had to go into Chat GPT and I've been like, for example, I've said, can you explain the difference between S Corp and LLC as if I'm a fifth grader and I need to understand? Like I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're right. Like they're amazing people. You guys are brilliant at what you do. But to your point, the connection of human to human is like, and I think it's tough because it is such a service of done for you, where it's like, why sometimes I believe that they are missing the why of like, why do I need to educate this person if I'm doing this for them? But at the same time, it's like, when I understand what's going on, I'm going to give you more. I'm going to be more organized. I'm going to be more prompt. I'm going to have a better handle. Like I'm going to have a little bit more autonomy. It's like all of those things that I think, to your point, like it's missing from most, at least in my experience, most financial teams. So I love to hear you say that that's what sets you apart. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Where do you and your business, where do you find clients? Like, are you on social media? Are you running ads? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, so we get a lot of referrals, which I'm super grateful for. We are on social media. I will admit I have not dabbled into ads. I did it once and I was just like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it well. And so we just haven't done that yet. I mean, I'm grateful that we haven't had the need to do that yet. But yeah, that's kind of it. I love hanging out on Instagram. That's probably where you'll find us the most. Dabbled in LinkedIn. I still don't fully understand it. I don't think it's my world. I don't think it's where our clients hang out either.
Interesting. I'm asking because I want to close with the final question, but before I close with the final question, is there anything that you want to like tell the people who are listening? And again, just to remind you that the audience, they're badass females, like they're out here just running through brick walls, owning their life and owning their business. Like what is something that you would want to tell them, coach them on, or whatever
Yeah.
whatever's coming to your heart?
Yeah, I love this. For me, I think that what I want to share is just that no matter where you're at in your relationship with your finances, like you're not beyond improving that. You're not beyond having a better relationship. I truly believe that anyone can have a good relationship with their money. It does take work. And I think that the benefit to your listeners being who they are is that they're not afraid to put in that work. And so even if you are scared of finances, or you're like, I don't even want to look at them, or if you're at the point where you're like, I'm not scared of them, I just don't really want to deal with them, like that's not necessarily a problem. You can get to the point where you love your finances, where you use your finances. you look at them, you get an email from your bookkeeper and you're excited to look at the reports. That's not impossible. I think everyone deserves that and everyone can get to that point.
I love that. I was watching one of my mentors. I look up to her so much. Her name's Jamie C. She posted a reel and it was talking about how we all refer to money as money. Like we call it money. Let me try to not butcher this, but she she was like, when you call it money, it's you are looking at it as something that is not alive, like something that is simply just a currency, and it's unhealthy for you to say like I need more money or blah blah blah. And she said, how about you try calling it a name? And she said she used the name Daisy. And she's like, so anytime that like you're talking about Daisy, like I need Daisy, like would that really feel good? It would be like, no, like I really want to have a relationship with Daisy. Like I want to take care of Daisy. I want to protect Daisy. And so it's like when you're thinking about hiring a financial team, it's like if you were looking at money as this Daisy, you would have this whole other service to help you take care of Daisy. The same way we talk about our bodies, it's like, you're much more loving and nurturing, and then we get to money and it feels so masculine. I know that's kind of like woo woo, but I'm into that.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
like,
true.
man, what a cool concept. Like this is a relationship that you have with your money, and it requires someone to help you build it and grow it and nurture it and foster it and not be so charged and attached or detached.
Yeah.
Either way, I think that's great. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
My final question, which all of the guests on the show get to answer, and I'm interested in this for you because you kind of mentioned that social media, like it sounds like you have a very strong referral base, which I'm sure, like if I if I was like, man, my financial team is amazing, like I would be passing that out to everybody too. But separate from that, what is the best content advice that you've ever gotten for Instagram about marketing your business and that you've applied and you're like, oh yeah, that feels good, that works?
Yeah, that's a great question. To think about this one for a second.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think some of the best advice that I've had is like just being who you are in being who you are as a person in your content is so important. I had a team that managed my social media for it was about a year, and they were great. Like I love them to death. However, it just didn't feel like me, and I really feel like you could feel that. So I really think that people people buy from people. We, get to know, like, and trust them. And so being who you are, I think that's important. I mean, for me, I'm not an accountant who wears blazers and pantsuits every day. And so I show up in my stories. Sometimes my hair's in a messy bun and my daughter's in the background, and that's just who I am. And I think that that makes it so much easier to show up. And I think it makes it so much more relatable as
Oh
well.
my gosh, absolutely. I feel
Yeah.
like I would hire an accountant or what's your title? Like what do you
Bookkeeper, yeah, or CFO,
Okay.
yeah.
I would hire a CFO who is taking care of donkeys and cows and her
Yeah.
daughter over a CFO who is like uptight wearing a blazer and looks
Yeah.
perfect and is like intimidating. Like
Yeah.
that is your secret sauce. That's your superpower. I love that so much. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. I find it interesting. I ask everybody that question at the end of the show, and almost everyone's answer is the same, which is crazy. And it's like the easiest thing is to just, I asked that because I'm a content coach. So for
Mhm.
those of you listening, like this is my first time meeting Annie. That's the brilliance of this show is like
Yeah.
we have never met. We're just coming together, having a chat. And anyway, all of that to say, I love that answer so much. And I
Yeah.
truly, truly appreciate your time. If
Yeah.
we want to find you, if we want to hire you, where do we do that?
Yeah, so like I said, we're most active on Instagram. Our Instagram is 1428 Financial. You can also email me. My email is Annie at 1428 Financial. But reach out there, send me a DM. I love to chat, about all things finances.
Okay, I have one more question. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah.
What
No, go
what
ahead.
is what's 1428 all about?
Yeah, so it's based on a Bible verse, and the gist of it is like Jesus is explaining this parable where he's like, if you're gonna sit down and let's say build a building, aren't you first gonna plan it out so that you don't run out of money halfway through? And so for me, like I just think that it comes to finances, like planning is so important, and being proactive rather than reactive. So it really resonated.
Dude, I have goosebumps. That's so cool. I love that
Thanks.
so much. All right, Annie, thank you. I will link all of her information in the show notes. You guys go check her out. She's clearly brilliant and we all need her in our business. So, with that, have a good day.